Hey guys, what is up? My name's Alberto, aka Destroyer 48, aka Subscribe for Food, aka Subscribe for Nuts, ha ha ha, aka I have a million channels, aka I'm the ghost of the most. Doesn't make sense, but sounds pretty damn good. Once again, my name's Alberto. This is my Destroyer movie channel, and today I am gonna go over um, J- Jack Jack Brooks Monster Slayer. It's played by Trevor Matthews. This dude and Robert England comes out. Robert England, if y'all know, you back in the day, was the original Freddy Krueger for Nightmare on Elm Street. He comes out in this movie, and it shows two monsters. Well, I will get into a little bit. I actually saw some monsters in the background, but we will get into all that later. So, this is my movie review for Jack Brooks Monster Slayer. So let's get into it. It starts off like they give a scene in Africa. There's this monster, this one-eyed monster. It's he's in this the jungle, and there's a bunch of tribesmen, African tribesmen, black African tribesmen, and this monster's like beating them up. They're holding them still, and then they're in their village. They're actually fighting outside the village, but in the village is in a panic because they know that monster's there, and they're fear for their lives from this monster. And then we got like they're calling out they go to a hut, they're calling out somebody, and it's gonna be Jack, but he doesn't look like this. He looks different. He has long hair, dreadlocks, and stuff like that. And it looks like he's getting ready for battle. He has his weapon, he's sharpening a weapon or something. That's the way it starts off. But now we're gonna get into after that. They're gonna show that Jack is. They're gonna get out of that scene and they're gonna go to Jack. He's gonna be attending some night school, and he has a girlfriend named Eve, and they're taking classes. He gets her late, and it's a science class, and it's given by Professor Crawley. And there's this guy that's hassling Jack, and it looks like the guy looks like he likes Jack's girlfriend Eve. Jack's girlfriend Eve, man, she's hot. She's pretty. She's a pretty blonde. She's really nice looking. That's my type of girl, from in looks. So Jack arrives late, and they're watching some educational movie, and the professor's like, "Hey, can you turn the lights on?" Jack turns on the lights. Class is ending, and I think that's the beginning where Professor Crawley he shows that he does some trick with the sodium like in a little box, and it does a little explosion. They're like, class is clapping, class is dismissed. Jack and Eve are talking after class in class with a tall bully, and Professor Crawley's calling Jack, and so Jack goes over there to talk to Professor, and the bully's like, "You better go over there," and it's like, "What about Eve?" And the tall bully guy's like, "I'll give her a ride." It's like, okay. That's funny because the tall guy was also like, "Hey, I'll burn you a disc on your notes. You have a hard time getting to class." And the guy's like, and Jack's like, "No, it's okay." He's like, "Don't be shy." He's like, "I'm not shy." And they leave like that. So this dude is gonna give Eve a ride home. Professor Crawley calls Jack and says, "Hey, you've been having a hard time coming to class." And I thought they were gonna get after him, but he's like, "I was kind of busy." And then Professor Crawley says something like, "You're kind of a busy guy." And he's like, "Not really." He's contradicting himself. But the Professor Crawley says, "Hey, I noticed you have a van. You're like a plumber." He's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Hey, I've been having problems with my the plumbing in my house. Can you come by and help me out?" And Jack's like, sure, when I'm gonna go? And he's like, tonight you can come. He's like, yeah, I'll go by. And then the professor's like, yeah, it's on Watson Road, something something address. Can you be there? Like, yeah, I can be there. So Jack's gonna go over there to Professor Crawley's house and go see if he can fix his plumbing. Jack gets there and Professor Crawley's there at the house, and he's like, "Come on in." They go to the basement and go see if they work on the pipes. Jack's like, "This might take a while, but hey, um, you can go upstairs and turn on the faucet when it's ready." So Jack's working on the plumbing downstairs on the gauge or whatever, the pipes or whatever, the machine. And Jack tells the professor, "Hey, turn on the faucet," and he does. And Jack turns on the machine up downstairs after he works on the pipes. I mean, in the basement, and the professor turns on the faucet, and Jack had turned on the machine downstairs for the plumbing, and it starts shorting out. The machine starts going crazy downstairs. The machine with the pipes, and the valve goes flying because the machine is breaking. It goes flying and it hits Jack in the head, and at the same time, the pipes are going crazy, and it looks like the pipes going crazy is waking up some kind of spirit or something. The ground opens up and there's a light, so they have unleashed something, some mystical evil probably. The professor sees Jack on the floor. He attends to Jack and puts a band-aid on Jack's head, and Jack goes back to his tells Professor Crawley, "Hey, Apple, I need to go get another valve, and I'll be back tomorrow or something like that." He's like, "Okay." So Jack goes into his van. The professor's put a band-aid on his forehead where the valve hit. Jack takes it off. Jack's in the van. He tries to start on the van, turn on the van, and he can't. Jack. Oh, by the way, Jack has like anger problems. He really needs anger management or something. The van doesn't want to turn on, so Jack starts hitting the van or the steering wheel on the van, and he finally gets to get to turn the van on and turns on the radio, and he takes off. Professor Crawley is there. It turns out that night he also fell asleep at his desk, and there's a smoke, like some fog that comes in from the ground where it looks like the evil is being unleashed from his yard, from under the ground, and the smoke goes and it goes into Professor Crawley while he's asleep at the desk. You see like even a sandwich is bitten, and Professor Crawley's eyes turn black, and he goes outside, and that's all we see from there. He goes outside to that mystical thing, mystical ground light thing with that evil that's been unleashed. It has gotten to Professor Crawley. Um, it also shows that Jack, he's been seeing a counselor for his anger issues. Um, he ends up telling the counselor that he went to a store. He went to a Chinese restaurant. They're gonna pay him in egg rolls, and he's like, "Okay, I'll take the egg rolls." But the toilet exploded, and they got mad at Jack, and Jack is complaining to the counselor that's helping him mentally, and something about Jack hit his toaster, and he says that he'll say stuff like he hit a bottle over his head for no reason. He has serious anger issues and he doesn't know why. he ends up leaving Matt from the counselor. Then we got Professor Crawley. He wakes up and the evil has seemed to have got out of him. He looks normal, but he wakes up outside. I just noticed that could it be that it's daytime? Is that the reason why the demon wasn't in him anymore? Well, I just thought about that. Prof- Professor Crawley finds a box that's under the like it's hidden, and he's in a he that's in that little hole thing. You can see a little gap. So he's gonna dig a hole to dig out that box that he sees. He digs the hole, and he finds it's too heavy to take out. So he gets his truck and he chains the box to the truck. Turns on the truck, and then the chain pulls the box out of the ground, and he takes the box inside the house. Then he opens a box, and then he sees there's a corpse in there, and then he finds the heart, and he's like picking up the heart, and then he has a dog, and the dog starts barking. He's like, hey, that won't hurt you, boy. It's nothing to be afraid of. And then I guess by some mystic means, he has that heart in his hand, and he goes in his mouth. I don't know, either his hand was possessed to go in his mouth, or the heart jumped, made his hand put it in his mouth, and he eats the heart, and he gets knocked out. But then he wakes up. But then we're gonna go to everybody's in class, that science class that Professor Crawley um, teaches, and the class is there, and they're waiting for Professor Crawley. Hasn't gotten there. Um, and when he gets there, everybody's just looking at him, and he's acting weird. He goes to the chalkboard, and he pukes on the chalkboard. Well, it's funny because he draws a heart. He's drawing stuff on the chalkboard, and he does a heart, and then he throws up on on the chalkboard, and then he starts going like this to it, rubbing like this, like he is obviously possessed by some demon or some spiritual thing, whatever. And he looks all weird, his hair's messed up, whatever. And he says, you know what? Class dismissed. I'm starved. Class dismissed. So everybody leaves, and there's drama with Eve, the tall guy, and Jack. They're outside. Eve is having a smoke, and Jack's like, "Let's go." He's gonna give her a ride home, and Eve is Eve is a beautiful girl, but she's acting stuck up like a jerk. She cannot put up with Jack anymore. I don't know why. She does a lot of rolling her eyes and stuff like that. Jack's like, I'm out of here. And then Eve's friend, the tall guy, I don't want to say bullies Jack, but there's parts where he gets Jack by his arm, and Jack has anger. She's like, hey, lay off, kind of deal. He does it twice. And then that tall guy's like, you know what? You're making her look at Eve, and Eve's like with her cigarette all stuck up, and like she can't stand Jack. He and the tall guy tells Jack, you see what you're doing to her. It's not you're not okay. She's not okay with you, and kind of make me. I'm not okay with you. And Jack's like, let's go. This guy's a clown. Jack walks away again, and this guy gets him by the shoulder, and Jack's like, lay off me, like, and the tall guy's like, relax, oh, relax, and then the tall guy's like, you need to have hashish with us, like smoke marijuana, I guess. And then Jack hits him in the throat with his hand, and the tall guy goes down like, oh, to the floor, and then he's like, Eve tells Jack, "You can't be hitting buddy Jack," and she gets in the van. "Take me home, Jack. Take me home." She's rolling down the window. Looks really cute. And then Jack's like, "I'm sorry, I hit your boyfriend or your girlfriend." They get on the van and they take off. There's then you have Jack. He goes to go buy the valve for Professor Crawley's um, pipe situation, and he goes and he meets this man called Howard. Jack has to walk through the store, and it's funny. This Indian guy, whatever, I don't know. He's Indian, but he looks white. I don't know, but he has a turban on his head. Every time he looks at Jack, he gives him a look like this, like he doesn't like Jack. I don't know why. He looks like Jack doesn't even know him. Jack walks in this hardware store where the Indian guy works, but he goes to the back and he meets this guy named Howard. But Howard's the cashier, and Jack's like, "Hey, I need a new valve," and this guy's like, "Where'd you get a valve like this? It's really old because the house is really old, and it's out in the middle of nowhere, I think." And he goes, "I haven't." And then Howard, the cashier, is like, "I haven't seen one of these in a while." And he goes, You don't be messing around over there because there's like an evil spirit over there, and like Jack doesn't believe him, like whatever." And he goes, "Maybe And then there's this guy behind Jack, and he says, "I don't have all day, Howard." That another customer, and then Howard says, "Maybe I'll tell you the tale once it gets more quieter evening tomorrow. I'll order you a valve. It should be ready by tomorrow." So Jack's like, "Whatever, okay, I'll come back tomorrow," and Jack leaves. Um, we got Jack going to his counselor again, and there's like Jack's like, "Hey, can you help me with these problems? I'm thinking about going to Brazil." And then the counselor's like, "Hey, you're still with Eve, right?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's like, why do you want to go to Brazil? Why don't you go to Australia?" And then and then Jack's like, stares at him like, um, "No, man, I don't want to go to Australia. I know this guy says it sucks over there. Why would I want to go over there?" And that counselor's like, "You know what? Let's talk about when you were a kid. I mean, we have to to go to the root of the problem. We have to talk about what your kid would happen to you." So the counselor does know what happened to Jack, but Jack's like, "I don't want to talk about it." And then they go into a flashback where Jack's a little kid, and he says his parents used to take him camping every year. He has a little sister, and his parents are dancing to some old freaking music from the 20s or something, slow music. And Jack is dancing with his little sister. He says that he used to be a regular kid. He used to play video games and like race cars and all that. And he even liked dancing. But, the parents are still dancing. He's like, "I'll show you these moves, Jack." And he's dancing with his wife. And then his dad twirls his wife around or something. Jack twirls his little sister around. Little sister ends up twirling into the woods, like, "Woo!" And then Jack's like, "Come back, Cindy." I think her name was Cindy. "Come back, come back." And then she looks down and she's near like the brushes and all that, the bushes and trees and stuff. And and she screams, "Ah!" And it's a monster. The monster gets her and starts. You don't see it, but she's eating her gear and munching out. And Jack's mom runs first, and Jack's dad they run after the the little girl, their daughter. Jack is just like he's like still. Um, and then it was wow. It's like excuse me, Jack's mom is like running to save the daughter, and then this monster just jumps. It's a monster, a dark black monster. He jumps right on top of really cool on top of Jack's mom and gets on top of her, starts biting her neck. uh, Jack's dad tries to hit starts hitting the monster from the back, then finds a wood, hits the monster in the back, and the monster just brushes him with that and hits Jack's dad. It goes flying, and then Jack's dad gets back on the monster. Jack is still standing still. The Jack's dad is able to knock down the monster when he gets up, but the monster overcomes Jack's dad, and Jack's dad's like run, and the monster gets on top of the monster gets on top of Jack's dad and starts eating him, and Jack runs away. Now I get back to the counselor. It looks like I get a little confused with this part, but it looks like I think all the counselor knows is that something happened to that Jack's family's dead and something happened to him and something or somebody killed him because the counselor he's not gonna Jack can't tell him that it was by monsters because Jack's like I used to tell people what I saw and people didn't believe me and thought I was crazy. So Jack's not gonna tell the counselor it was a monster because the counselor's gonna think that he's crazy and stuff and not believe him. So he's like, why bother? So Jack says, I just know that they're dead and I ran away like a little pussy. Excuse my language, but that's what he says. He ran away. So the counselor's like, I think we nailed it. Nailed it. You have to learn how to forgive yourself. You're in the counselor. You're just a little kid. You didn't. It's not your fault that happened to your family. But the counselor says, yeah, you gotta forgive yourself if you're gonna find any peace in you. So then we got Jack. He goes back to the hardware store, and he's talks to Howard again. Howard's like, yeah, the part came in, and he goes, let me tell you the story about that house you're going to. Where now Professor Crawley lives. Um, and so Howard's gonna tell Jack about the story about that house. So Howard saying he used to live with his uncle in that house, and Howard's uncle had like this room where he had display. He was a collector. He collected a lot of weird things, and he think he got something from Japan, a special thing. It had like, it was like something like an aquarium, but it had a heart in it. And it was well sealed, but Howard went into that room of his uncle's, and the uncle had said, I don't want you. They had told him not to go in there. Howard still went in there as a little boy, and he looks like he's 12 years old, 13 or so. Howard dropped that jar with the heart in it, and it cracked a little bit, so a little fog came out, and Howard went running. And there was a story about it that there was a demon that crawled into Earth, and then humans had. It took a while, but they battled that demon and they defeated the demon, but the heart still remains. But Howard already dropped the aquarium and he put it back with a heart in it, but it's already leaking out smoke because it got cracked because of Howard dropping it. So turns out that smoke is gonna get into Howard's uncle's body, and so Howard's uncle. By the way, Howard was left there, I guess, by his parents, and it's his uncle and him that are living there. His uncle's taking care of him, but since the demon has gotten to Howard's uncle, he's acting peculiar. He's eating a lot, and yeah, they're at the dinner table when he's like, "Let me eat that." And he goes to Howard's plate and starts eating it, and and then it turns out like one night Howard wakes up and he finds his uncle eating their dog. I believe it was their dog. And then Howard's uncle goes after Howard. Howard runs in the house and gets a shotgun, and he's able to. Oh, by the way, Howard is able to escape, but before he escapes, his uncle eats his hand. So Howard's hand is handless. There's no hand. He ate his hand right here, so he's running like this. But Howard's able to run towards inside the house and gets a shotgun. Howard's uncle tries to eat him, and Howard shoots him with a shotgun, and Howard kills his uncle. Um, so we go back to Jack and Howard talking at the hardware store, and Howard had said, "I had to bury the box with my uncle in it," and Howard shows him. Old Howard shows Jack his hand, and it has like a hook on it, like a Captain Hook, showing that his story is true. And then Jack is like, "How did you dig the hole to put the box to your uncle in?" And he goes, "Well, it wasn't damn easy." And he shows his Howard's like, "It wasn't damn easy," and he shows his hand with a hook. So now we're gonna get back to class. We're gonna have another science class. Everybody's there. By the way, Jack has been flirting with another girl, but keeps giving him stuff. There is a part where this girl walks in past Jack in class, and she drops her calculator at his desk, and Jack's like, "Oh damn, let me get your calculator." And they start sweet talking. They're like, "Hey," she's like, "I didn't need this Jack's like, "Your calculator's broken," and the girl's like, "Well, I didn't need it anyways," and they're like, "This class is kind of lame." She's like, "Yeah," and Eve, she's like, she's busy talking to this girl about some party, whatever, so she doesn't see it. And then Professor Crawley comes in the door, and then that girl that's flirting with Jack, yeah, she's pretty too. She walks to her desk, but Eve looks like a turnoff. She's like, she just doesn't like Jack. So, well, they all go sit down. Professor Crawley goes to do the class, but he's acting weird. He has a pencil on his forehead. He gets the pencil, starts hitting on the desk, and then he starts moving around like this or something like that, acting really weird. And then this girl goes to the girl that was talking to Eve about the party. She goes to Professor Crawley and says, she gets up and she goes towards Professor Crawley. She's like, "Are you okay?" Because Professor Crawley is also scratching and stuff. And then Professor Crawley just hits her like a chop and chops her. Ric Flair chop for y'all that are wrestling fans. She he chops her and she goes flying, and then he starts mutating. He starts turning into this monster, and everybody's like, "Run!" And Eve wants to run, but Jack's like, "I need to get this girl." The girl's still like, she hurt her leg and stuff, and Jack gets her, and then Eve finally comes and helps Jack with a girl, and they start running down the hall in the school, and they get to a classroom, and Professor Crawley, he's mutating into a monster, and then all these long arms like an octopus. They go out. They try to get Jack, the girl, and Eve, but Jack, the girl, and Eve go into this room, and one of those, it's like a tentacle or arm, tentacle arm, I'm gonna call it, tries to get into the room that they're in, and then they close the door. The other students that run, they're not so lucky. They start running, and these tentacles, they go flying Professor Crawl, and they go outside the classroom and they pick all of them. All the students are running everywhere. The tentacle arms start. They start getting everybody by the feet, and they start bringing them back. And he catches all of them. Um, that tall bully guy that was there, he is caught and he is chosen where Doctor Crawley the demon. That's what I guess I'll call him. Gets him and gets that tall bully guy with a tentacle in the classroom, and he has them all against the wall. But he gets Jack's bully, I guess you would call him, and he gets the bully, and the bullies he puts the bully under him, um, and then Professor Crowley the demon puts some arm that puts like a lot of kind of liquid in his mouth, and it turns the Jack's bully into a demon, and he gets up and takes off, and he's gonna go try to get them, try to get Eve, Jack, and that girl. Um, well, that bully, I'll call him bully monster, I guess. Jack's bully monster ends up catching him, or not catching him, but getting up to him, and he ends up killing that girl. At one point, Eve is hiding Jack somewhere, and the bully monster finds Eve, but Jack is able to rescue her. There is some fighting going on, and Jack and Eve are able to run out of the. When Jack rescues Eve, um, yeah, that monster ate that girl up, but it's really cool the way Eve was. Eve was like in a closet. It was a two-way closet thingy. The monster went one way, and then I think Eve ran out the other way. Jack saves her, like I was saying, and they run down the hallway, and they get to a door that's locked because the janitor's mopping the floor. That demon is after them, um, and Jack and Eve are able to get that. They're banging on the window doors, whatever, to get that foreigner. It's actually a foreigner janitor, and he looks Hindu or something. I don't know. And he's mopping. He's like, "Hey, wait a minute!" He's talking in a language, and he opens the doors, and he lets Eve and Jack in, and Jack gets him like, "Run, run! This monster's coming, or the bully monster's coming," and Jack takes off, and then the bully monster jumps on the janitor and starts eating them. And there was this overweight girl in Jack's class. She is next, where Professor Crawley in the room gets her, and they remember they have all the students against the wall with his tentacle arms. I'm trying not to say testicles, and y'all make fun of me. But anyways, they get a overweight girl. She's not that overweight, but she's somewhat overweight. The Doctor Crawley demon does the same thing he did to the bully monster. He gets that overweight girl and then puts some tentacle in her mouth that shoots out liquid in her mouth, and then she becomes a monster and she takes off with the bully monster. But Jack and Eve have escaped. They go in Jack's van. They're taking off, and then Jack is he's in the van taking off, and then I mean they're going as fast as they can in the van, but Jack puts on the radio, or the radio's on, is playing that old song that goes back to his camping days. That hypnotizes Jack. Jack stops the van and he's just like listening to the song because it's going back to his camp days and his family, when his families were eaten by that monster. And he's like, "Hey, what are you doing? Keep going, keep going." And then Jack finally, after a while, tells him he's there. He's like, "Get out of the van." She's like, "What? Get out of the van." And he's like, "You can't leave me. You can't leave me." And Jack leaves Eve and he goes back in the van to, of course, we all know what he's going to do. Uh, I think that song is like telling him, hey, like don't make the same mistake twice. I guess, but even though he was a little kid before, you left you. I guess he feels guilty about abandoning his family now. He doesn't want to abandon it anymore. He doesn't want to run anymore. So he goes back in the van and he's gonna go try to rescue the students. So Jack gets back and he goes into school and he's confronted by the two monsters, the overweight monster girl, and sometimes I will say fat to could change it up. I'll say the fat monster girl and the fat bully monster. Jack fights with them, both of them. At one point at school they're fighting and they're slamming against the lockers. There's a clothesline. And then somebody clothesline somebody, and then and then Jack at one point throws them together. They hit each other. Jack gets an opportunity to beat up on the overweight monster girl, and he defeats her. And he gets I don't know, some kind of pipe or something. And he smashes her head in, exploding her head. And Jack defeats her, but still he needs the bully monster guy that was bullying him with Eve. He ends up fighting with him. They're throwing against lockers and all that. I think they get into a room, and then finally, I think Jack finally escapes him for a while, and then the bully monster comes, and they're in a classroom. Jack is able to knock him down, and then Jack, he gets some kind of tanks, and they're like kind of like the fireman tanks or whatever, sprayers, spray stuff to to take care of fires. Well, it's like two of them. He gets it. He has a bully monster on the floor, and he smashes the head in. And then after that, Jack is gonna run to the room where Professor Crawley's at. Professor Demon Crawley's at. Everybody's still against the wall. The students are still remaining. Um, Professor Crawley Demon gets a one girl from the wall, and then puts her in the ground, and then puts that tube in her mouth that has a lot of poison and stuff. So he makes another. I'll call her Demon Girl. Make that Demon Girl. Jack arrives, and Jack kills her, and there's a point in there, and then Jack gets at the box of sodium or whatever that can explode whatever, and he's able that remember when going back when Professor Crawley did that explosion with that box thingy with sodium or something like that, sodium fluoride or something like that. Anyways, Jack is able to get that, and Professor Crawley Demon gets Jack by the with a tentacle arm, gets Jack by his feet and picks him up, but Jack is able to throw that box of sodium, whatever, that explodes, and it does explode in the monster's mouth. Jack sees that the heart is still beating. He knows the story of the demon, even though the head's exploded. Jack gets an axe, and he's able to strike the monster with that axe in the heart, and then the heart shrivels up, and then everybody is released. Oh, Jack was able to get some out. He got some of the students out, but now everybody's released. Jack gets the girl that he was flirting with, and he she's like at the wall because she's saved, and then Jack kisses her, and they're holding each other, and then there's like it's not a flashback, but it's gonna go in I guess it's a future flash, we'll say, that now Jack is with those tribesmen from the very beginning, the African tribesmen, and he's gonna take off and try to go kill that monster that was there from the beginning. Remember, it's gonna be this one. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about this guy. The monster that killed his family. Jack is able to find him in the woods, and kill him. He kills him first with an axe through the chest. He throws it and he kills this monster. Now we're back with the tribesmen, and the tribesmen are still being attacked in the village. Jack gets out of the hut and is walking towards a little bit outside the village where this monster's at, and there's a couple of tribesmen. Oh, this monster is able to pick up one of the African tribesmen, black tribesmen, and snap his neck, throws him, and there's two warriors there, tribesmen are there, and they have their spears or whatever, and they're pointing at this guy, and then Jack comes out with his weapons, his spears, whatever, a spear and a machete looks like, and he yells like he's ready to go battle with this monster, and it ends there. Now I will say that right there is like we don't know who wins the battle, the monster or Jack. I put my money on Jack, I guess, but I'll talk about it in a little bit. And that's the end of Jack Brooks, a Monster Slayer, and I'm gonna give you my final comments on it. I really like this movie. People are gonna get mad at me for saying it. Some people may say it's dumb, it's stupid, and all that. It's because they don't like action, they don't like gross movies like my mother. Um, my mom, total prude, man. She don't like anything. Um, I'm the opposite. I like funny adventures movies. Um, I don't know whether to call it I call it an adventure movie or a horror movie. I'll call it maybe a scary movie. It's like a scary movie with action. I mean, you have to love Jack Brooks. He has a temper and all that stuff. The action scenes are really good. The killing's really cool, especially of the monsters. There's killing of humans. It's really good. I don't know what would be my favorite part. I think my favorite parts are not even the action. I think that my favorite parts are with Jack, Eve, and because Eve is hot, she's a very pretty girl. She just doesn't like Jack. She looks unattractive by the way she treats him, but she's a very pretty girl. She's my cup of tea. Um, yeah, I heard his drama with him, Eve, and the bully. That's really funny stuff when Jack hits him and the bully in the throat, and then he goes to the floor. Eve gets mad, and then Jack's like, um, "I'm sorry, I hit your girlfriend or something like that." And then she's rolling up the window, and Jack's poor van, like, "Take me home, Jack, take me home." I don't know why I like those parts, but I like it. I actually like. I mean, I like the action, but I don't know why I like the drama between them. And when she's in class, he arrives late and stuff like that. She gives him a load and little things like that. I like. That last action battle. Well, the battle with Crawley as a demon. That was pretty cool. That was okay. Oh, and I forgot. There's a part where Dr. Crawley Demon he eats the captured students. He eats this fat guy that has this stupid hat that's trying to look like he's a white guy trying to be like a rapper or something, dressed like a rapper. He has a chain, and then the Dr. Crawley monster eats him whole. That was funny. Sorry, I forgot that part. It's hilarious. And when they drag the fat guy, that guy I'm talking about, the rapper white guy, he's like they're dragging him by his like his stomach's on the floor. He's going, and then his feet are kicking backwards, like hitting the floor. It's hilarious, funny. Um, I think Jack uses a pipe at one as a weapon at one point. It's funny. What other weapons does he use? Smashing into the heads. Two demons got their heads smashed in. This movie is easily in my probably top five. I really like it. I do, and it's not really for the action's good. It's just not for the action so much. It's just the drama between Eve. I don't know why. Again, I'm just be repeating myself. Um, Howard is real funny. The cashier, he's really old, and he moves, and his ear cracking up bones like he's that old. He's like Joe Biden old. He's like, he gets up, to go get the valve for that vague or Vogue, whatever it's called, the part for the pipes. And then Jack's like, "Are you okay?" At first, he doesn't care. Like Howard tells the whole story of how the demon came to be and all that, and then he finishes, and then Jack's like, "I don't know what you want me to say. I don't care." And then And then Howard is like, "Yo, you son of a bitch! I tell you my whole life story and you don't care." I didn't say these parts because they're not the main parts. I was not gonna try not to say the whole movie. And and then so he tells him, "Yeah, you son of a bitch." And he goes, $9.95, for pay for the gas. That's how much you'll. And then or $9.25 in land. And then Jack is like, here's the here's a $10 bill. Keep the change. And he's like, why I owe a $10 bill. um, I think I told you the main like the main things I like about everything. Not everything. I'm pretty sure I forget stuff, but about the main things I want to say, which is the main point. Um, I can rate it already. It's for me. It's really good. If you like action horror, if you don't mind a lot of gruesome scenes and all that. I, if you like actually like gruesome scenes, watch this movie. You haven't seen it, and if you have seen it, I hope you enjoy my review. I hope you enjoy my opinion on it. I give this movie. I have to be biased, and I really like it. I'm gonna give it my best um plus is the highest my highest honor, A plus plus plus. I don't know why. I do not know why I love this movie a lot. I can watch it like so many times. I love it. I don't know. I guess maybe because Eve is hot. I like Jack, the character. He's really cool. I like Robert England. I usually don't like to see actors in other movies. What's gonna happen? They have to do with other movies. Robert England but I'm sure I like that Robert England showed that he was gonna still act after, because this is after Nightmare on Elm Street. Like again, Robert England is the original Freddy Krueger, so I'm glad he kept making movies after that. I'm pretty sure he made more, but that's the only one I found him in besides after Nightmare on Elm Street. And my review is going like at 48 minutes, and I go long when I like a movie. I'm sorry, I usually go. I'll go. No, no, I don't go short. I will go short if I kind of don't like a movie or something like that. But this one, it's my favorite, so I'm going 47 minutes. You're lucky because I sometimes I get an hour and a half. If you're still watching, thank you very much. That concludes. I guess that concludes my review. I already rated it. I gave it an eight, my highest A plus plus plus. I recommend it if you have not seen it. If you have seen it, thank you for my review. So I'm just repeating myself. So I'm gonna go ahead and review. Um, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. Should have said in the beginning. I forgot. If you're still watching this, please. I need subscribers bad. I need likes. I need everything. If you can help me out, only if you like my videos. So I'm gonna go end it. So this concludes my review of Jack Brooks Monster Slayer. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. And I'm gonna leave you with this. The world will never be a perfect place, but we can all make it better. Till next time, my name's Alberto, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.